What's up everybody, I'm Dr. Winters, and guess what? We're now in high definition, which could make me more beautiful or uglier, depending on how you look at it. That's right, we're just always trying to up the quality for you guys, and we finally did it. But enough of me, because you guys tagged me in some crazy videos this week, and well, I guess there's just nothing left to do except for just, well, start reacting. By the way, I still need you guys to get me to 10 million followers so I can get this dang bracket off my teeth. Please subscribe. All right, ooh, we got a little coil in here, and that little loop means that we're gonna be doing a Tataroonie there, yep. Which is kind of crazy. It's a temporary anchorage device, which is like a mini implant that screws into your mouth. Fun fact, we had to screw these into our own mouths in dental school, and it just feels like a lot of pressure, not pain. So you can see there's putting a rubber band around there, pretty gnarly, and that's about it, pretty normal. Now what you're seeing there, basically this whole segment of getting everything in there and everything, and basically you see he's forming that little dot up top to make a triangle there. And what these are used for is people with open bites. When you have a big open bite, and it's to pull those back molars up and out of the way to make your bite deeper over time. So if you have a really open bite, you pull these guys out of the way, and then you can bite deeper on that side, and that will allow you to, deepen that open bite. And a ton of people tag me in this saying, Bentist, I am not getting braces if this has to happen to me. And most of you guys are not gonna use TADs at all, but if you do, it's not that big of a deal. Exactly. Hi, Sammy says, I'm getting braces. They don't do this. And we have comments that say, excuse me, and that looks painful. And actually it's really not that painful. It should be numb. In fact, if it's painful, they put it in the wrong spot. If it's painful, that means they went too close to the root and you're starting to get some nerve pain there. It really should be between the roots and should have no pain at all, just pressure. In fact, we don't even numb up normally. We can use a little sensitizing gel, but we don't use a shot or numb up at all because we want you to be able to feel the pain so that we know if we put it in the wrong spot or not. Either way, still pretty crazy. All right, let's see here. This, oh man, that is what we call maximum grinding there. And then look at that. Okay, let's start over here. Let's start from the front. Okay, if you look at these teeth, you can see that these are heavily worn down. Now this is happening from grinding, more than likely front to back grinding, like this. No, not that front to back grind. And so, unfortunately, your teeth are not impenetrable and they will wear down over time. And I actually have this slightly. I actually am a side sleeper, so instead of front to back, when I go front to back, it kind of goes at an angle, and so I wear down at an angle here, but still it's the same thing. Now this could be due to breathing issues, could be due to stress and neurological disorders, it could be just sleeping in a bad, weird position and your body can't get enough air. And so what happens is your bite tries to move forward to allow you to breathe, and then your bite falls back again. And then you move forward to breathe, and it falls back again. And so you get into this issue of that happening. And so this person got a composite transformation, which if you're looking at here, it looks pretty good. You know, we covered it up, we filled up the little gaps and everything like that. The only issue with composite veneers sometimes is that they get a little bit bulky. You can see her top teeth are a little more bulky than her lower teeth there. And also they look a little less optically good than regular porcelain. But other than that, it's actually really good, and the composite is pretty strong, and in fact it's going to be much harder to wear away the composite than her teeth were. This is from Dr. May Bassett, and it looks like she did a pretty good job. Darcy says, how does that happen? And kind of like I said, it's mainly probably airway. It could also be tongue suction patterns. If you don't keep your tongue properly suctioned up into the mouth. Shout out to my looks maxers, the mewers out there. That's actually kind of what they're practicing. And if you have that tongue, not really holding your jaw forward, well then your jaw falls back and you're doing this thing all night long, which is causing that. It also could just be due to stress and neurological disorders. Traveling Nomad says, veneers look good, but lay off acidic drinks as well, as do weeks of cleansing to reduce your grinding. And actually they're not wrong. If you're having a lot of acidic drinks and things, we do see similar stuff like that in GERD related issues where, we get a lot of acid on the back of the teeth. It wears down the enamel, and then when you grind, it just wears it away even more. And so she could have a mix of GERD with the grinding together. That very well could be a possibility. Another thing you can do is just wear a night guard at night. So you're sliding around properly and you're not damaging the teeth any more than they've already been damaged. All right, you guys, a bunch of you guys tagged me in this one. When you carry a baby for 9 months, just want to smell like this. Wait, what? Okay, first off, why did you guys tag me in this? This is not even related to dentistry at all. I'm not gonna lie, I think I know why you guys tagged me in this. Hamilton literally said, is that the Bentist? Wow. Wow, you guys are really gonna do this to me, huh? Listen, I understand that I've got some crazy eyebrows and I'm very expressive in how I use them. And fun fact, a lot of people for some reason, they'll say that I got Botox something in here and that's why it does it. I have never gotten Botox one day in my life. I don't know what it is. I just have a very expressive face. I talk with my eyebrows. It's not my fault. Lorraine says, about to steal Christmas. Why you guys gotta pull the Grinch jokes on me? I don't look that much like the Grinch, do I? Either way, that's a cute baby video. 2, I'm kind of upset. And 3, well, it's not that big of a deal either, I guess. You know, The Rock's got crazy eyebrows, but you don't see you guys making fun of him. But if you guys keep it up, maybe I will steal Christmas, okay? Oh my gosh, let's see.
And she gave no f***s. Not even one.
Oh man, she got the full thing going on. Okay. So obviously you guys have seen expanders, right? The stuff that you put people in their mouth, and we've seen people turn it. But this is an interesting one, because if you look in there, there are actually these little holes in the top. Now these are called marpies. So basically what those are your regular expander, but they're actually screwed into the roof of your mouth. And these are really common in adults. And that's because, as you guys probably already know from watching my stuff, your palate or your roof of your mouth is made into 2 different bones that will fuse together right around 18, 19, 20, sometimes even earlier. And so a normal expander won't work anymore because that suture is fused, and then the teeth will just kind of flare out instead. So what we have to do is use something like a marpie here, where you actually screw a tad into the roof of your mouth, and now you've got anchorage into the bone. So when you push it apart, it's going to cause that suture to potentially break and then pop open like that, causing a giant gap right down the middle of your teeth. Now this will be great for not only widening the palate, but it will help with airflow, which is going to cause, you know, nasal breathing issues and stuff to go down, and nighttime breathing, grinding, stuff like that to go down as well. And overall, just aesthetically having that nice wide smile is really awesome too. In fact, I have a little narrower of a palate just because we didn't have this technology whenever I was growing up, and I didn't get an expander when I was growing up. And so I've actually thought about doing this myself. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I do a marpie on myself and get a big old gap in the middle? I don't know. And a lot of people ask if this is painful. No, it's just gonna really feel like a bunch of pressure until all of a sudden one day you'll feel a pop, and then it'll break open. Now, a lot of times too, this isn't even enough as well, and you gotta go into a thing called a sarpie, which is where they surgically break that suture open, and then the marpie happens. Kook says it doesn't hurt at first, but a few hours later it starts hurting real bad. And more than likely, it's not actually pain related to that. It's probably the pressure on the teeth that you're feeling, and so those teeth start to get, well, basically sore. Luckily, it does go away after a while, and it is really just mainly pressure that you're gonna feel. Zebra says, I just got war flashbacks. And I know a lot of you guys have PTSD from expanders, but hey, at least you got the expansion you were looking for. But I don't know, would you get one of these, or would you just totally just leave it as it is? All right, we got another 24-month braces journey. I always like to kind of stop here and see what we got. Okay, so actually looks like a pretty normal thing that we see all the time. She has 2 blocked out teeth on the lower and a pretty close bite there, which kind of tells me that she's probably more like this, a little class 3-ish. It's just that the teeth got kind of crowded up and stuff like that. So normally we would add some springs here and open it up. Let's see what they did. Oh, she has the cheeks, so that means she got her teeth removed. Unfortunately, not a big fan of having the teeth removed like that. But basically what they did was remove the upper and lower premolars to bring everything back there. Now, what you'll notice is there's big gaps on the top and bottom, which all of that stuff is gonna fall into. Now, even with the blocked out teeth, she's only gonna fill about half of those gaps. And remember, upstairs, there's no gaps at all because her teeth were normal. So that means her front teeth just have to literally go like this to close up those gaps. Not my favorite, because we'll probably see later that it's gonna affect her profile, but let's kind of keep on looking. You can see how much spacing there is when she turns to the side, and we have to pull all of that back. Okay, so that's a great one right there to look. So you can see that her lower is already straight, and you can still see giant gaps on the top and bottom. Now, we're not gonna bring everything forward to match that. They're gonna bring everything back to match that. That means her profile and her lips and everything is gonna go back. So you can see when she's at her side, she's got some flaring, all that type of stuff, but that's actually supporting her lips and stuff like that too. There's definitely ways you could have just deflared that using some IPR at the start. Okay, so now the gaps are closing up or getting closer and closer. So you can already see on this side profile that her nose, lips, and chin, so this is what we call the E-line, and we want them all to be on that E-line together. And you can already see how far back her upper lip is. That's because she had that tendency for that underbite. And instead of fixing it with some rubber bands, she should have had some class 3 rubber bands and some IPR to do that. They took out all the teeth and then rammed it back. And unfortunately, what that's gonna do, even though I'm sure it's gonna turn out good and everything's gonna look straight, is her profile is just not gonna look as good as it should, because her profile is just gonna get worse over time instead of better. Now we've got all that space closed up there, and we're looking, she still has space on the top she's gotta fix up. You know, and they're pulling it back, and now you can really see that nose is really far forward of that upper lip. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've got. You know, it's going to continue closing, and I'm sure it's going to turn out great. We can actually go to the ending here and kind of see what she looks like at the end. And there you go. So, I mean, obviously it looks really good still. You know, the teeth are looking good. Her smile is looking good. The only thing that I really see that I just dislike about it is that, one, they removed 4 healthy teeth when they didn't have to, and 2, they probably just made her profile worse than it could have been. We could have pushed everything forward. We could have had proper rubber band to help that upper maxilla grow forward at her age, and then we could have really gotten her a really nice E-line there instead of the kind of nose and chin being farther out and everything like that. Now, we can't do anything about it now, and she probably doesn't even notice that this happened, but I see this all the time, and I just wish more people would go to some orthodontists that understand non-extraction orthodontists to try and get the best facial profile and teeth that we can get. And they still did absolutely nothing. That's right, it actually blows my mind that this purple whitening strip trend is like still going on after years of just scamming people. Because no matter if you leave this on for 3 hours, 3 days, or 3 minutes, it's not gonna do anything. And it doesn't matter what brand does it or who sells it to you. It's literally just a brain trick to make you think in that moment it's slightly whiter than it really is. Trust me, it's not. I mean, you could believe the thousands of comments of people saying they got scammed and it didn't work and it didn't do anything, but that doesn't stop people from selling it to you using teeth whitening filters and faking stuff, which a lot of companies are actually getting sued because of this. But hey, at least those green teeth whitening strips didn't last too long. They were meant for like skin lightening, and they tried to put those on your teeth. It's like people will do anything other than just use the actual thing that whitens your teeth, which is hydrogen peroxide. And you can get whitening strips from literally like Dollar General that have hydrogen peroxide that work. So I don't know why you're wasting all your money on these. That's what he said. Didn't we learn any lessons from Ross Geller? And yeah, as much as I like Friends, he was definitely using hydrogen peroxide whitening, so he wasn't using fake scam purple whitening. Then he said, as a dental hygienist, don't do this. And yeah, if you're using regular actual whitening that works, yeah, you're gonna get super sensitive. Your teeth are gonna hurt. It's gonna be a big deal there. With this stuff, I don't even know, like, it's probably toxic. It's just like straight up Violet 3 FDA bad regulated color like dye. So yeah, probably not good to keep in your mouth for a long time. Either way, I just hope for a day when you guys finally stop getting scammed. You know, that's why we made something nice, was so you guys didn't get scammed. And you know what? You people are finally getting products that actually work. And as you notice, I don't sell purple teeth whitening strips, and I never will, because they don't work. But hopefully we've at least saved a few, you guys. I think my orthodontist forgot a step. Wait, what is she talking about? I think my orthodontist forgot a step. Let's see. Oh, that's funny. The power chains. Oh, okay, I get it now. She said, this is not how our power chain works. Yes, actually it is. And we probably did that on purpose. Now, obviously, for sure, she could have like popped them off of here and just had them floating around. But actually, there are times where you put the power chain below and on top of the brackets on purpose. You see, because your tooth is a lever, right? It's a system that is gonna be switching back and forth like this. If you have the bracket on here and we wanna move it this way, the power chain is on the bracket. But if you have a lot of flaring, well, we will put it on top to unflare and deflare that tooth. So hers being on top is probably because she had a little bit of flaring on the lower and they wanted to tip the teeth back this direction. And conversely, you can actually put it on the lower and you can cause it to go the opposite direction. Maybe if you're up top and you have a lot of deflaring, you put it up here to try and flare out the teeth a little bit. So yeah, we can actually change the force factor of where that power chain is to actually flare the teeth in different reasons. So actually, no, they did not forget a step, more than likely. Toistata says, it's because you have Damon braces. And no, I use Damon braces. You can do this with any type of braces. Obviously, Damon braces and self-ligating braces in general are best for this because they have the least amount of resistance. But yeah, you can do this technique on any braces. And look, actually somebody else says, yeah, okay, I got these. And he's got it down below on the bottom, which is the same concept. It's just gonna flare and pull it down that way. So yeah, next time you go to your orthodontist and you get some power chains like this, just know that they're probably know what they're doing and they're probably not gonna cause any problems. And it's for a reason. And Isley says, no, they did that to mine too. It actually does something. I just don't know what. Well, now you do. You see this bracket on my mouth? I've been whitening every day to see if underneath it, when we take it off, there will be left a yellow square. That's right, a yellow square, but I can't take it off until I hit 10 million followers. So make sure to subscribe and keep tagging me in all the crazy videos, and well, we'll see you next week, okay? Bye.